Hi, I'm the Space Quest historian. There's the lens. Hello. Hi. How am I supposed to start this again? Hi, I'm the Space Quest historian, and welcome to 2019, and welcome to more me talking to the camera vloggy shit. Today I thought we'd take a little look at an interesting topic I like to call, why did the new Sierra die? Now, for those of you who are tuning in fresh to a channel called the Space Quest Historian and don't know anything about Sierra, let me just give you the ultra shortest of short recaps. In 1979, Ken and Roberta Williams founded a games company called Sierra Online. It wasn't called that back then, but it's what it turned into. It used to be called Online Systems. Never mind, that's not important. And sometime in the early 2000s, it became a publishing-only company, and it was then sold off to a million different other companies. There was bankruptcy, there were financial crises, there were a big financial scandal that you can all go and look up. The dude's name is Madoff. Excellent surname for a person who commits financial fraud of the highest caliber. Anyway, that's not really much to do with Sierra. Point is, Sierra died a lot at the start of the 2000s, really. And then in 2014, Activision, who ended up with the rights to most, if not all, of Sierra's properties, relaunched the brand as an indie developer and indie publisher. Interesting. And one of their launch titles was a revitalization of the flagship product of the old Sierra days, namely King's Quest. And everyone was just thinking, well, what does this mean for Space Quest? What does this mean for Police Quest or Quest for Glory or any of the old, super strong Quest series that Sierra had pioneered? Well, actually, they created them. They didn't necessarily... Oh, fuck it. Never mind. Turns out, not very much. Turns out that King's Quest would be the only product revitalized by this Neo-Sierra brand, along with a couple of forgettable titles. Somehow Geometry Wars was considered high and mighty enough to warrant a revitalization? I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, King's Quest was developed by the Odd Gentlemen, who I'm sure are very delightful fellows, but their remake, revitalization, rebranding of King's Quest didn't exactly set the world on fire, which must have really infuriated or disappointed Activision, because that's pretty much the last we ever heard of Sierra. The new Sierra, that is. And while the website is still up, the new Sierra website is still living, no new products have been announced, and I very much doubt that any will. So, question. Why didn't the new Sierra work? You've got all these magnificent titles, series in fact, groundbreaking landmark series that are universally beloved by old farts everywhere, myself included. You've got a still active community who truly loves the brand, loves the games, loves the designers, loves everything about it, and some who even so passionately yearn for the olden days that they probably should be committed. And you've got all the marketing strength, and not to mention the money, to make AAA titles worthy of the once industry leader that was Sierra Online. So why did we only get King's Quest, Geometry Wars, some other platformer shooter thing that I have no interest in, and then it all just went to shit? Well, I've got three theories, you might say, as to why this happened. Numero uno. Where was the personality? Sierra Online was founded in 1979 by Ken and Roberta Williams, and you knew who Ken and Roberta were. Roberta designed the first graphic adventure game ever, Mystery House. Ken was the fabulous man with the porn stash who ran the company. Some might say with an iron fist, some might say with just a lot of really sensible business acumen. I mean, they were industry leaders. By the mid-90s, you could not stop Sierra. But the new Sierra, who were they? Who was in charge? Why? Who were developing the games? Well, the Odd Gentlemen were contracted to do King's Quest. Well, the Geometry Wars, who cares? And the other company no one had ever heard of. Who were these people? Who were calling the shots? Who could you write to get in touch with these? It was like there was a closed off wall between the new Sierra and the old Sierra. The old Sierra, while gigantuan, was still personable. You knew the people involved. The game boxes proudly displayed the names of the authors. The new Sierra, pretty much anyone's fucking guess. You could contact the contractors, like the Odd Gentleman for instance, and get heads up on what the new King's Quest was going to be. But no one at Sierra, they weren't actually working at Sierra, they were working for Sierra. And the new Sierra had no personality, and had no personalities to speak of. Number 2. Well, you've got this gigantic community already baked in. You've got numerous Facebook pages who do nothing but fawn and adore Sierra, some to the point of insanity. You've got a healthy Space Quest community, you've got a very healthy King's Quest community, you've got people who still make fan games after all these years, you've got a gigantic, adoring community who are seemingly only occupied with keeping the memory alive. You've even got some of the old designers just waiting in the wings hoping to get a second chance at all of this. You've got Jim Walls, you've got the two guys from Andromeda, you've got Laurie and Corey Cole coming out with games of their own because they could not get the rights back to the game series that they pioneered at Sierra Online. You've got Jane Jensen, who still remained active in the games scene despite her games not being that very good anymore, sorry. You've got all these people who basically do nothing but love the brand, who want to see the brand back. And what do you do with them? Not a whole fucking lot, it seems. There were no real interactions from Sierra themselves. There were some retweets, there were some replies, some sort of kind of replies. Nothing substantial. Again, because of the lack of personality, you never got to know the new Sierra. You never got to know who was in charge or who you could talk to. There was never any face behind the mountainous logo that you see on the screen looping behind me. By the way, these are all the original iterations of the Sierra logo just running on a loop. Thank you, Nintendo Complete, who put this video together. Sorry for stealing your video. I just thought that would be a nice little sentiment to have running in the background. No personality, no way to interact with them. You can interact again with the contractors, but where's the fun in that, really? You want to talk to the big guys. And Ken Williams was, if nothing else, approachable. You could email the fucker and he'd actually respond. Trust me, I did that when I was 16 years old. Numero 3. I'm from everywhere. Here's the hard truth, and here's my hot take. Yeah, soup's on, bitches. Soup's on. That's right. Sierra fans didn't want a Sierra revival. They wanted the titles back. They wanted their old Quest series back. They wanted someone to take up the mantle and run with it. Having King's Quest as their first launch title, sure, that brought a lot of attention, but here's the hard fucking truth, guys. Not everyone's interested in King's Quest. That's why Sierra had a plethora of different approaches to what is ostensibly the same formula, adventure games. You've got your police, and your space, and your glories, and your, well, fucking. I guess Alicia Suit Larry was technically Fuck Quest. So, to focus exclusively on that one niche of a niche genre, granted it's the flagship product, and granted King's Quest by far outsold all the others, but still, if you'd had the conscience to go after not just that niche of a niche genre who were into King Graham and whatever the fuck was in his hat and the Talking Owl and all that shit, and actually relaunched several of their old titles. I'm not saying it had to be Space Quest, by far perish the thought. Actually, I have some words on that issue and why you shouldn't just willy-nilly bring back Space Quest from the dead without at least phoning up Mark and Scott to ask how it should be done. Never mind that. Could have been Quest for Glory. Could have published Hero U. Could have taken Jane Jensen on board and had her develop any of her millions of brilliant ideas for international spy thrillers and actually given it a big budget and something to work with. Actually, you could have done a lot of things, but you chose to just focus on one thing and one thing only, the thing you thought would make the most money. And here's the kicker, right? You've got Sierra Online, the name, the brand, relaunched. You've got Activision in the wings, pulling the strings, that rhymes, who actually have the marketing budget of everyone's dreams. You could throw as much or as little money at this new indie developer, Sierra, as you wanted. Now imagine what would happen if you had a bunch of really cool developers, adventure game developers, indie game developers, people with narrative driven focus. Imagine if you had them working at a side branch of Activision focused exclusively on the development of these interesting story driven, narrative driven indie titles. I mean, the timing was perfect. You've got Wajidai, who've been successful after successful after successful with their adventure game titles since 2016. You've got games like Gone Home and Firewatch knocking over reviewers with their awesome storytelling devices on very, very minuscule budgets. And you've got all these ideas and idea makers, and you've got all these creative people in the wings with fantastic ideas, fantastic stories that they want to tell, and they all have to do it on shoestring budgets. And I mean, Wajidai's Unavowed was the product of 3 people, one guy to code and write the whole story, one guy to draw it all, and one guy to do the music. That was it, really. Now imagine if you'd thrown any kind of sizable, not even AAA, let's just say AA budget at a company like Wajidai, at a game developer like Wajidai, and told, hey, you can develop under the Sierra branch. Sure, Dave would say no. That's not the point. The point is, have you ever gone on GOG or Steam and had a look through the list of adventure games? And I do this a lot. I look through the list and I just go, wow, that one looks fucking awesome. I didn't know they made games that look this awesome. This 2D, ultra detailed, high resolution, fuck me pixels. I mean, this looks, oh, it's a Daedalic game. Oh, damn it. So it's full of shitty puzzles and badly translated dialogue and shitty voice actors, and it's just gonna be horrible. But Daedalic sure know how to make a game look fucking great. Now imagine if you've got the same kind of muscle behind indie developers with great stories to tell. Yeah, people who aren't fucking racist, and people who aren't the fucking who try to bring back Lisa Suit Larry. Wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah, but no. See, the problem is Activision were scared. Sierra, the rebranded Sierra, was not a splash, here we are, look at the new fancy Sierra. It was a very, very trepidatious sort of tiptoe into the water and, oh, it's a bit cold, I don't think this will sell. We'll just shove this King's Quest remake out there, and then here, have some Geometry Wars, and screw it, we'll all go home and pretend it never happened, because adventure games and indie games don't actually sell. We were just pretending, don't hold it against us. Here's some more Far Cry of Duty or whatever the fuck kids are playing. So no one had the balls to actually go balls deep into the Sierra waters. What they really wanted was, I guess, more Geometry Wars? Fuck me, I don't know. But anyway, that's the take. That's my hot soup take. Soups, of what happened to Sierra Online, the new Sierra, and why it failed. Because no one had the balls to do anything real with it. I'm the Space Quest historian. Like, subscribe, do whatever you kids do. Leave me a comment if you agree or disagree or have more to add. I am sure we could have a very, very productive discussion about this. In fact, be sure to join my Discord if you're not already over there, because I have a feeling they might have something to say about this as well. So yeah, do that, and thank you for watching. I'll see you around the Chrono Stream.